annual McClane Awards program. We are here tonight to celebrate not only the accomplishments, but the recognition of our outstanding students in our senior class. These students are accomplished in the classroom, on the field, on the court, on the stage, and it is through our generous sponsors that they will be recognized for their accomplishments. Collectively, our seniors will be granted $103,700 in scholarship money tonight to further their education and follow their dreams. To all the parents and caregivers that are present this evening, we are so proud of your children and know that they will represent Lyndhurst High School well. This is a particularly special class and we attribute it to you. I would like to thank our faculty and staff. We're so fortunate to have such talented and compassionate staff dedicated to your children and to all the students of Lyndhurst High School. Lastly, I would like to mention that you can see that we've changed the venue and the program for this evening. Although different, not any less prestigious. This year, the high school has worked under a major reduction in faculty, staff, and resources, but we are so thankful for our faculty who remain dedicated to organizing this evening for our students tonight. This evening would not be possible if it wasn't for two very special people. Susan Latimer, guidance counselor. Please stand. And Emily Wingen is our dean of students. We'd like to thank them for the countless hours they spent working to put this evening together. And now some words about John McClane, the man who's this night is named after. John McClane was born in Jersey City, moved to Lyndhurst, attended Lyndhurst Elementary Schools, and graduated from Kearney High School, where he achieved recognition as a basketball player. In 1933, Mr. McClane earned a bachelor's degree from Montclair State Teachers College and returned to teach social studies in the newly built Lyndhurst High School. In 1939, he was awarded a master's degree from Columbia University, and in 1957, he was granted a 6-year professional diploma from Teachers College at Columbia University. After serving as a lieutenant commander in the United States Navy during World War II, Mr. McClane resumed his educational career in 1946 as a teacher and assistant football coach. After serving as vice principal of the high school, Mr. McClane was ultimately appointed assistant superintendent of schools in Lyndhurst, a position he served from 1966 until his untimely death in 1972. His goal was always to strive to improve the educational facilities and programs of Lyndhurst. And now I would like to turn the mic over to Mr. Venezia, who will lead the program this evening.
Good evening. It will be my honor tonight to announce the recipients of all of these prestigious awards that are being handed out this evening. To open the program, we'll start with our Achievement Awards. The first being the Lamp of Learning and Scholastic Award, which is sponsored by the Lyndhurst Board of Education. This is awarded to all students who have a 4.0 or better. I will announce the students in alphabetical order, and then the last group will be the top 5. Skylar Bancroft. Larissa Sales. Sean Leonard. Conrad Squire. Canano. Adam Harabi. Angelina DeCaro. Cheyenne Sharpelli. Jamie Lynn Connors. Paul Simakata. Robert Canano. Shiho Tanaka. Carol Moeller. Paula Augustine. Mustafa Muhammad. Caitlin Peterson. Dawa Lama. Zyler Kim. Joanna Karpaj. Gabriella Swope. Gabriel Arsentalis. Andrew Estefanos. And Frankie Venezia. The next 5 students represent our top 5. I will read them from 5 to 1. Gabriella Schnurr. Suzanne Morazowitz. Eric Mangrove. Zuli Arias. Isabella Castanet. Our next award is the Haley Sports Chiropractic Female Scholar Athlete Award, sponsored by Haley Family and Sports Chiropractic. This year's recipient, Gabriella Schnurr. The Haley Sports Chiropractic Physical Education Award, sponsored by Haley Family and Sports Chiropractic. This year's recipient, Tyler Baniels. The Haley Scholar Wrestling Award, sponsored by Haley Family and Sports Chiropractic. This year's recipient, Victor George. The Angela Wisniewski Smith English Literature Award, sponsored by Lyndhurst High School Parent Teacher Student Association. This year's recipient Isabella Castanetti. The Fred Beck Memorial Award for Music, sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School Parent Teacher Student Association. This year's recipient, Nazli Tyler Lockwood. The G. Donald Travisano Award for Achievement and Service in Science, a $50 award sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School Science Department. This year's recipient, Adam Harabi. The American Legion Auxiliary English Award, a $250 award, sponsored by the Ladies Auxiliary of Barringer, Walker, LaPinto, post number 139 of the American Legion of Lyndhurst. This year's recipient, Zuli Arias. The American Legion George Garrett Memorial Award for History, a $100 award, sponsored by Barringer, Walker, LaPinto, post 139 of the American Legion of Lyndhurst. This year's recipient, Eric Mangrove. The American Legion Wallace Walker Memorial Award for History, a $100 award, sponsored by Barringer, Walker, LaPinto, post 139 of the American Legion of Lyndhurst. This year's recipient, Skylar Bancroft. The Marvin Sandler Memorial Award for Mathematics, a $500 award, sponsored by Barbara Sandler Books. This year's recipient, Sean Leonard. The Garibaldi Award, a plaque, sponsored by Silvio Lassetti Foundation. This year's recipient, Caitlin Peterson. The Garibaldi Award Honorable Mention, again sponsored by Silvio Lassetti Foundation, Anthony Samarone. The Medieval Times Academic Achievement Award, sponsored by Medieval Times. There are 10 recipients. Isabella Castanetti, Zuli Arias, Eric Mangrove, Suzanne Morozowitz. Gabriella Schnarr. Skylar Bancroft. Larissa Sales. Sean Leonard. Conrad Squatter. And Grecia Aguilar. The Dr. Joseph A. Pugliese Memorial Award Medal, sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School Parent Teacher Student Association for citizenship, leadership, and service. This year's recipient, Jamie Lynn Connors. The Booster Club Paul Capaccio Memorial Athletic Award, sponsored by the Booster Club for excellence in sports and citizenship. This year's recipient, Sean Leonard. The American Legion Honor Award, the $100 scholarship, sponsored by Barringer Walker LaPinto Post 139 of the American Legion of Lyndhurst, for outstanding courage, scholarship, leadership, and service. This year's recipient, Ruby Rodriguez. The Robert S. Rizzo Memorial Humanitarian Award, a $350 scholarship, sponsored by the Rizzo Memorial Scholarship Fund. There are 6 recipients: Skylar Bancroft, Isabella Castaneda, Paul Simicata, Ben Francino, Tara Muller, and Anthony Samarone. The Mayor Robert B. Jangerusso Award, a $300 scholarship, sponsored by Mayor Robert B. Jangerusso, for outstanding all-around student. There are 8 recipients: Gabriella Schnarr, Ben Francino, Alana Orgola, Elena Villanova, Jeffrey Grasso, Bruce Burgess, Zuli Arias, and Sean Leonard. Our next service award is the Pearl Service L Award, sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School Student Government. This is service to school, accumulating 75 points or more of service points. In alphabetical order: Grecia Aguilar, Zuli Arias, Skylar Bancroft, Emma Camano, Isabella Castanetti, Jamie Lynn Connors, Samaya Hassan, Joanna Karpaj, Laura Lehman, Eric Mangrum, Ashley Pastrana, Rihanna Renzia, Gabriella Schnur, Conrad Squara, and Nasli Tayalagli. The next set of awards are for scholarship. The John C. McClane and Edith Father McClane Memorial Scholarship, a $400 award, sponsored by the Marianne Father Chapman families. This year's recipient, Adam Harabi. Angelo and Lucy Insulato Memorial Scholarship, a $200 award, sponsored by Paula Ellis. This year's recipient, Elena Villanova. the Angelo Pendicia VHS Memorial Scholarship, a $500 award sponsored by Ann DeForge. This year's recipient, Paula Augustine. The Atlantic Kenmark Electric Incorporated Scholarship, a $250 award sponsored by Atlantic Kenmark Electric Incorporated. There are 2 recipients, Adam Harabi and Gracia Aguilar. The Berkeley County Coaches Association Lou Lancelotti Scholarship, a $500 award sponsored by the Berkeley County Coaches Association. This year's recipient, Frankie Venezia. The Berkeley County Women's Coaches Association Scholarship, a $500 award sponsored by the Berkeley County Women's Coaches Association. This year's recipient, Isabella Castaneda. The Beverly Alberti Mario Rizzo Memorial Scholarship, $2,000 award, sponsored by the family of Beverly Alberti. This year's recipient, Isabella Castaneda. The Beverly Alberti and Mario Rizzo Memorial Scholarship of $1,000, sponsored by the family of Beverly Alberti. There are 2 recipients, Paul Simicata and Angela Downey. The Brian Fuchetto Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by the Brian Fuchetto Scholarship Fund. This year's recipient, Adam Harabi. The Bogle Agency's Memorial Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by Mr. Philip R. Bogle. This year's recipient, Zuli Arias. The Bogle Agency's Philip R. Bogle Memorial Scholarship of $1,000, sponsored by Mr. Philip R. Bogle. This year's recipient, Maninder Singh. The Bogle Agency's Warren F. Bogle Memorial Scholarship of $1,000, sponsored by Mrs. Warren F. Bogle and Mr. Philip R. Bogle. This year's recipient, Eric Picardo. Scholarship, a $100 award, sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School Book Club. This year's recipient, Paula Augustine. The Booster Club Sharon Esposito Memorial Scholarship, a $1,000 award sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School Booster Club in memory of Sharon Esposito, class of 1985. This year's recipient, Jeffrey Grasso. The Booster Club Timothy Kearns and Sean Kearns Memorial Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School Booster Club. This year's recipient, Jason Laurel. The Booster Club Yolanda Shoebridge Memorial Athletic Award, a $500 award, sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School Booster Club. This year's recipient, Julia Ann Pizzola. The Church Alive Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by Church Alive. This year's recipient, Gabriela Borgano. The Craig D. Lalore Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by Mr. Ralph T. and Mrs. Marianne Lalore. There are two recipients, Jamie Lynn Connors and Suzanne Morazzo. The Daniel J. Gilmore Scholarship Award, a $150 award, sponsored by the Danny J. Gilmore Scholarship Fund. There are two recipients, Isabella Castanetti and Campbell Donovan. The Dennis Terrace Memorial Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by Barringer Walker Lapinto, American Legion Post 139. There are four recipients, Kara Muller, Rachel Bocage, Brian Podolsky, and J. Jason Laurel. The Eastern Bergen County Board of Realtors Scholarship, a $500 award, sponsored by Eastern Bergen County Board of Realtors. This year's recipient, Suzanne Morozowitz. The Edward Malinak Memorial Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by the Edward Malinak Memorial Scholarship Fund. This year's recipient, Anthony Samarone. The Fausto Arsentalis Leadership Scholarship, a $500 award, sponsored by the Fausto Arsentalis Leadership Scholarship Committee. There are two recipients, Maninder Singh and Lauren Ferschweiler. Oh, I'm sorry, Emma Casamant. Emma, come on. The Franklin School PTA Award, the $100 award, sponsored by the Franklin School Parent Teachers Association. There are two recipients, Lauren Ferschweiler and Paul Simicata. The Give Back Foundation of New Jersey Award for $300, sponsored by the Give Back Foundation of New Jersey, awarded to the third highest student GPA in the class. This year's recipient, Eric Manbury. The Give Back Foundation of New Jersey award of $400, sponsored by the Give Back Foundation of New Jersey, awarded to the salutatorian, Zuli Arias. The Give Back Foundation of New Jersey award for $600, sponsored by the Give Back Foundation of New Jersey, awarded to the valedictorian, Isabella Castaneda. The Immaculata Forte College Book Fund, a $250 award, sponsored by Mauro Lucas Regaseo and family. This year's recipient, Caitlin Peterson. the James R. Berlin Memorial Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by the James R. Berlin Memorial Scholarship Fund. There are 2 recipients. Isabella Castanetti and Campbell Donovan. The Jefferson Columbus School PTA Award, a $250 award, sponsored by the Jefferson Columbus School Parent Teachers Association. There are 2 recipients, Anthony Samaron and Vincent Bello. The Jefferson Columbus School PTA Mildred Caffrey Scholarship, a $100 award, sponsored by the Jefferson Columbus School Parent Teachers Association. This year's recipient, Ruby Rodriguez. The Jennifer Bollinger Memorial Scholarship, a $250 award, sponsored by the Jennifer Bollinger Memorial Scholarship Fund. This year's recipient, Skylar Bancroft. The Joseph and Marie Vandola Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by the Vandola family. This year's recipient, Isabella Castanetti. The June H. Falco Memorial Scholarship, a $500 award, sponsored by Peter Falco and Honorable Christine Falco Farrington and Honorable Ray A. Farrington and Vivian Warnecki Falco. This year's recipient, Eric Mangrove. The Carney Bank Scholarship of $1,000 award, sponsored by Carney Federal Savings Charitable Foundation. This year's recipient, Gabriella Schnurr. The Kenny Stevens Memorial Scholarship, a $2,000 award, sponsored by the Sons of the American Legion, Squadron 139. There are 2 recipients, Paul Simicata and Jamie Lynn Connors. The Kenny Stevens Memorial Scholarship of $1,000, sponsored by the Sons of American Legion Squadron 139. The recipient is Anthony Samaron. Robert J. Coley Award, a $1,000 award sponsored by the Sons of the American Legion Squadron 139. This year's recipient, Rachel Bocage. The Kingsland-Lyndhurst AARP Chapter 4866 Scholarship of $1,500, sponsored by the Kingsland-Lyndhurst AARP Chapter 4866. There are two recipients. Gabriel Arsentalis and Andrew Estefanos. The Lincoln School PTA Award, $400, sponsored by the Lincoln School Parent Teachers Association. There are two recipients, Skylar Bancroft and Joanna Carbide. The Lyndhurst Anti-Drug and Alcohol Committee Award, a $500 award, sponsored by the Lyndhurst Anti-Drug and Alcohol Committee. There are two recipients, Gianna Falacara and Frankie Venezia. The Lyndhurst Chapter of Unico National Scholarship, a $600 award, sponsored by the Lyndhurst Chapter of Unico. There are two recipients, Caitlin Peterson and Sean Leonard. The Lyndhurst Education Association Scholarship of $1,000, sponsored by the Lyndhurst Education Association. This year's recipient, Rayana Rendizia. The Lyndhurst Fire Department Vocational Scholarship, a $500 award, sponsored by the Lyndhurst Fire Department. There are 6 recipients, Jason Lorian, Emily Lorian, Samantha Horvath, Vincent Bello, Charlie Bello, and Beza Camille. Lyndhurst High School Administrators Award, a $300 award, sponsored by Ms. Bruno and Mr. Venezia. This year's recipient, Julia Ann Pizzola. The Lyndhurst High School Blood Drive Scholarship, a $500 award, sponsored by the Vermont Blood Services. This year's recipient, Rihanna Renzia. The Lyndhurst High School Music Association Scholarship of $250, sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School Music Association. This year's recipient, Gabrielle Samarone. The Lyndhurst High School Music Association Scholarship of $400, sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School Music Association. This year's recipient, Michael Lavelle. The Lyndhurst High School Music Association Scholarship of $600, sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School Music Association. This year's recipient, Shinho Tanaka. The Lyndhurst Police Emergency Squad Scholarship, a $500 award, sponsored by the Lyndhurst Police Emergency Squad. This year's recipient, Gianna Falacaro. The Medieval Times Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by Medieval Times. There are two recipients, Gabriella Schnurr and Emma Camano. The Miss Ann Mazzina Memorial Scholarship for an athlete, a $300 award, sponsored by the Mazzina family. This year's recipient, Jason Laurier. The Miss Ann Mazzina Memorial Scholarship for a band member, a $300 award, sponsored by the Mazzina family. This year's recipient, Anthony Samron. The Miss Ann Mazzina Memorial Scholarship for a Roosevelt School student, a $300 award, sponsored by the Mazzina family. This year's recipient, Emily Laurier. The Mock Trial Scholarship, a $500 award, sponsored by Kenneth A. Poro, Esquire. This year's recipient, Eric Mangrove. The National Honor Society Scholarship, a $100 award, sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School National Honor Society. There are 2 recipients. Eric MacLean and Jamie Lynn Curtis. The Paul Haggerty Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by Barringer, Walker, Lapinto, American Legion Post 139. This year's recipient, Emily Laurier. The Polish American Citizen Club Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by the Polish American Citizens Club of Lyndhurst. This year's recipient, Conrad Squire. The PTA Award, Lyndhurst Council of Public Schools Parent Teachers Association, for students going on to a 2- or 4-year college. It is a $1,500 award sponsored by the Lyndhurst Council of Parent Teachers Association. There are 4 recipients. Lauren Ferschweiler, Jamie Lynn Connors, Emily Laurier, and Jason Laurier. The PTA Award, Lyndhurst Council of Public Schools Parent Teachers Association, a $500 award, sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School Parent Teacher Student Association. This year's recipient, Anthony Samarone. The Richard Pizzola Memorial Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by the Richard Pizzola Memorial Fund, in memory of Richard Pizzola. This year's recipient, Gianna Falacaro. The Richard Pizzola Memorial Scholarship of $750, sponsored by the Richard Pizzola Memorial Fund. This year's recipient, Madison Falcao. The Roosevelt School PTA Award of $300, sponsored by the Roosevelt School Parent Teachers Association. There are 4 recipients. Lauren Ferschweiler, Paul Simakata, Jason Laurier, and Isabella Castaneda. The Rutherford Animal Hospital Scholarship a $500 award sponsored by the Rutherford Animal Hospital. This year's recipient, Paula Augustine. The Spencer Savings Bank Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by Spencer Savings Bank. This year's recipient, Somana Hassan. The Ted Shoebridge Marcelo Latterman Memorial Scholarship of $1,000, sponsored by the 10th Shoebridge Marcelo Latterman Memorial Fund. This year's recipient, Isabella Castaneda. The Pillars of Character Award, a $500 scholarship, sponsored by the Giving Tree. This year's recipient, Eric Mangrove. The Washington School PTA Scholarship, a $250 award, sponsored by the Washington School Parent Teachers Association. There are two recipients, Christine Ruffalo and Haley Mayuski. The Women's Club of Lyndhurst Scholarship, a $1,000 award, sponsored by the Women's Club of Lyndhurst. There are two recipients, Gabriel Arcentalis and Gabrielle Samarone. The Women's Club of Lyndhurst Instrumental Music Scholarship of $250 award, sponsored by the Women's Club of Lyndhurst. This year's recipient, Haley Mayuski. The Women's Club of Lyndhurst Visual Arts Scholarship, a $250 award, sponsored by the Women's Club of Lyndhurst. This year's recipient, Anthony Hayes. The Women's Club of Lyndhurst Vocal Arts Scholarship, a $250 award, sponsored by the Women's Club of Lyndhurst. There are two recipients, Alyssa Ventimiglia and Kara Mullen. The World Language Honor Society Scholarship for Italian, a $150 award, sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School World Language Honor Society. This year's recipient, Caitlin Peterson. The World Language Honor Society Scholarship for Spanish, a $150 award, sponsored by the Lyndhurst High School World Language Honor Society. Oh, my apologies, there are two recipients, Zuli Arias and Emma Camano. The Michael Sabella Memorial Scholarship, a $2,000 award sponsored by the Friends of Michael Sabella. This year's recipient, Campbell Donovan. The Paul Conti Memorial Scholarship, a $2,000 award, sponsored by the Friends of Paul Conti Committee. There are two recipients, Isabella Castanetti and Paul Simicala. The Rose C. and Ralph A. Bruno Sr. Student Athlete Scholarship, a $2,000 award, sponsored by the Rose C. and Ralph A. Bruno Sr. Scholarship Fund, Incorporated. The member of Rose C. and Ralph A. Bruno. This year's recipient, Isabella Castanetti. The Anthony P. Marotti Memorial Scholarship, an award of $3,000, sponsored by Anthony P. Marotti Memorial Scholarship Fund, in memory of Anthony P. Marotti, LHS Class of 72 Athletic Hall of Fame. This year's recipient, Isabella Castanetti. The Jimmy C. Memorial Scholarship, a $3,000 award, sponsored by the Calamadici family. In memory of Jimmy C., always in our memories, in memory of James Calamadici, 1989 to 2007. This year's recipient, Alyssa Engels. The Lyndhurst Scholarship Award finalists. These four students are in the final category for the Lyndhurst Scholarship Award. They will be receiving a $2,000 scholarship sponsored by the Siarco family. The recipients in no order are Zuli Arias, Emma Camano, Isabella Castanetti, and Conrad Squaw. The Lyndhurst Scholarship Award, an $8,000 renewable scholarship sponsored by the Siarco family. This year's recipient, Campbell Donovan. concludes our presentation of awards. Once again, on behalf of Lyndhurst High School Administration and the Lyndhurst Board of Education, we so graciously thank all of our donors for the continued support of our students. Again, that concludes our program. Everyone please have a safe trip.